More often than not, when we hit the water, the fish aren't going to be cooperating the way we would like them to. One of my main goals for the Inshore Edge is to show you how to still catch fish on days like this. As you'll see, I break down how I go through my various lures and techniques to go from no bites to getting short strikes to catching a few and finally to putting some good fish in the boat. In my opinion, figuring out how to put a few fish in the box on days like this is often more gratifying than stumbling into a feeding frenzy and catching them every cast, and undoubtedly will build your fishing knowledge and skill set. Side scan. Might keep. You're right at 15. I don't keep those. Not right at 15. All right, let's get out in position here. So I can see on side scan these fish sitting right here and kind of just off this point in the middle of the channel. I was kind of working the shallow flat. Saw these fish, let it get to the bottom in about 10 feet and thunk. So we'll see what happens. I am looking for some fish to eat today. That one was right at 15. I'm worried about shrinkage. You put them on ice. What was right at 15 is now short. I'm not looking for any problems at the boat ramp with the Department of Natural Resources. Trying to get them to trust me. I swear he was 15 when I caught him. No good. I'm trying to mid-stroll, bottom stroll them, see if they'll come up and eat it. Trying to get it down to the bottom, shaking this. It's a 5.25 inch Rapala Crust City freeloader. They just came out with the bigger sizes. Just got them in the mail last night, pretty psyched about them. I may have to go to something a little bit more finessey though. The way they're kind of just sitting up on the bottom. I don't know if these are actively feeding fish. There's really no bait around to speak of. But it's pretty clear they're sitting there though. Let's try something else. A little something else here, see what happens. A little drop shot, see what happens. A drop shot, freeloader. So the idea now is just to kind of slowly shake this in front of them. I have a pretty good idea where the school is. I've marked them on my sonar. I'm casting up current, so I'm bringing the bait back with the current through the school. Now, just because you sit a bait in front of them doesn't mean they're always going to eat. Sometimes you got to elicit a strike. That may be what's going on, in which case, if that is, I got some other things I can do to try to get the reaction bite, reaction strike. I love this challenge. So much to learn here. I mean, you find the fish. It's always fun when you got a killer bite going on or they're aggressive and you're just kind of hand over fist bringing them in. That's fun. It's a big part of why we go, is the fun of it. But you don't always learn a whole lot when that happens because, well, frankly, they'll eat anything. But when you got fish and they're not eating anything, you got to figure out what will work. This is why I like to apply bass fishing
techniques and lures to inshore trout fishing and reds and all that stuff, because a lot of different lures that do different things. And as you work through them, more often than not, I end up figuring it out. So I feel pretty confident I'm bouncing this drop shot right through fish and I'm not getting bit. So I'm not gonna mess around with it too much. So next thing I'm gonna try is a blade bait. So blade bait's a little thin piece of metal, a couple treble hooks on it that kind of sinks like a spoon, and when you rip it up, like a rip bait or a blade bait, it vibrates like a rattle trap or something like that. We got several different kinds, but that's the one I'm going to start with. Little treble. This one has just got one treble and a little blade. There's different designs, but basically it's a chunk of metal that you work on the bottom, so you let it sink to the bottom. Doesn't take long to get there. And you just rip it up. Real sharp pops. And then you let it sink down on the slack line. And when you pull up, you can feel it like vibrating in your rod. That's that real tight blade bait action. And that's actually what will a lot of times get these fish to lash out and eat it, is that tight vibration. The other thing, most of them are fairly small too. So it's kind of a combo of finesse, but also it's stimulating their lateral line. That's how they feel vibration. All fish have it. And that would be if there's a calling card for a blade bait, that would be it. Cold water, lethargic fish on the bottom. You bounce this through them. A lot of times you get bit. Next up will be a small swim bait. See if I can get them to eat a little swim bait tail. See what happens. So I see another school over here. These are classic trout signatures on side scan. The way they school, the numbers, the size, where they're schooling at. Kind of in this case, this one is right up the slope leading up to a flat from the channel. There he is. Right where I saw him. So that's a swim bait. We'll see if we can keep it going. We'll see what happens. Classic little thump though, so he liked it. At least that one did. Hopefully all his brothers and sisters also like it. That's a nice trout there. Nice eating, good keeping. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we want. That is actually probably a 17. I don't keep anything bigger than 17, so he might make the cut. Yeah, it's a 17-inch fish. Fat, chunky fish. Put him in a live well until I get enough to keep. Beauty of a live well, you keep your fish alive until you get enough to keep. I don't like to clean. I want at least 4 or 5 fish to clean, depending on the mood I'm in. And so I can release them if it doesn't pan out. It's a G-Rat thin swim bait, one of my favorites. Oh man, dang it. Tough bite, man. Tough bite. These are finicky fish. Getting short strikes. They're moving around. Ah, dang it. Man, ton of short strikes. So we'll see how this plays out. But the fact that I'm getting short strike a lot, I'm getting bit on the swim bait more than anything else, might tell me I need to switch up colors. This water's a little stained. I've got a fairly natural color. So I think my next move would be maybe a somewhat brighter color, maybe something a little bit more flash, maybe help them see it better. It could be it. Here's another thing. You never want to assume because you're getting short strike, you're getting bit, but you're not hooking up, that it's small fish. Sometimes that's the case. Never assume that. In my case, we've had some tough bites the past 2 weeks in this area. There he is, that's a good one. That's a good fish. That was almost a barely could tell he hit. It's a nice trout. Golly, nice trout. And that's what I'm talking about. Short strikes don't mean small fish, y'all. Here's another nice one. Ooh, there we go. Another 17-inch fish, slobs. Absolute slobs. These fish are so healthy, it's ridiculous right now. Look at that. That's what I'm saying. Short strikes don't mean they're small fish down there. These are very good fish that I'm just having a heck of a time getting them to commit. So I got a lot of stuff going on here, as I've talked about. So I got moving schools of fish. So I'm having to use side scan. The beauty of side scan, it's great for a lot of things, but I'm utilizing it to cast towards schools of fish, moving schools. And then on top of that, I got a finicky bite that I'm trying to get dialed in. Another little bayou lesson that I've learned in the wintertime, and I'm experiencing it right now. Oh man, dang it. Whew. Waiting for me to talk. I guess when I talk, I let that lure drop down or do something odd and get something to eat. Anyhow, what I was gonna say, we've had a lot of rain in the past 5-6 days. Maybe 4 or 5 inches total, somewhere in that range. And these are all coastal rivers and bayous with lots of drainage. And so the water was real salty prior to this. And we had lots of bait, pogies pushed up to a certain area in this bayou that I'm in right here. And trout all around them. You can return to that spot and for the most part, find those fish pretty quickly because they'll be generally in that same area. But all that goes out the door though, another school right here, when you get lots of rain and fresh water. Because what happens is that rain, that fresh water, oh God, man, trying to teach y'all, but I'm getting bit and missing fish as I can't pay attention. Anyhow, well, I was rudely interrupted there by a trout. That fresh water pushes bait, pushes pogies. They will come back down the bayous and in the direction of saltier water. Now, I don't know if they ever truly find it, what parts per million they're comfortable at, but it always, just in 2 years, I've seen 2 winters, it'll push your pogies back down the bayous, like towards the bays, towards salinity. I don't think the trout care about the salinity, but they care about the bait. And sure enough, those trout will move with the bait. So today, after all this rain, I didn't even go up. I'm still about a mile from where I was catching them. I started looking below just based off last year. I learned a lot about this. And sure enough, I found the trout fairly quick. Whereas last year, learning that lesson, I spent a lot of time idling around, a lot of time fishing where I thought they were. And so it's really helped me putting those lessons together a year later and being more efficient and finding fish quicker. Lifetime of learning. That's why I love this game. That's why I love this hobby, this sport. The levels of learning never. I'm gonna have to stop talking in a minute. The levels of learning never stop. You can learn as much as you want, as many lessons as you want. So much fun. Color of choice is a little bit of chartreuse, real subtle, natural chartreuse. I'm gonna see what happens. That's the change I'll make. I'm going from natural to a little bit more color, a little bit more flash. Sharpen your hooks, y'all. It's another thing. I'm getting short strike. That's one other thing I can help. Make sure that hook is sharp. Anytime you get a snag on all the solid structure in our waterways, you'd be surprised how often your hook gets bent, it gets dulled out. Even between trips, the salt can dull your hook point. Control what you can control. There it is. All right, a little clue there. Slow lift, slow drop, got bit right away. We'll see. Maybe that's the key. Another nice trout. Different lure, different color, but a different technique. Instead of big pops, just a slow push. Another nice fat trout. Golly, these are healthy fish. Whew, man, what a healthy population of trout. I like the color change. Maybe they like the technique. Let's see what happens. Let me show you all this fish. She's just shy of 17. She's got shrimp antennas in her mouth. Can't really see them. That's kind of cool. There he is. Like I said, free fish. He is there. I don't know how big he is, but he smoked it though. Good fish, I think. Oh yeah. Might be a red. He's hugging bottom. If that is a trout, it's a good one. Hey, look at that. Nice flounder. I'll take it. Take the flounder. Not a problem. Right in the chin. There's one. Might keep. Feels bigger. Maybe. Ah, it's a nice flounder. Hey, I'll take bonus flounder. I'll take flounder all day. Take flounder all day. Wish the flounder would. Wish the trout would eat it like the flounder did. There's one. Not a big one, I can tell. Ah, it's a flounder. A little flounder today. That's cool. That's another keeper, maybe. A little boat flip for y'all. Mr. Flounder. There's a good one. That's a trout there. That's a nice something. Maybe it's a trout. Oh yeah, that's a nice trout. Nice trout. There we go. Oh yeah, good trout. That's gonna be a catch and release right there if I get her in for a picture. Hopefully she will oblige. She's got to go, y'all. She's too damn big. Check out the shoulders on this girl. It's a pretty fish right here. This is a fat fish right here. We're gonna need the boga grips on her. Man, she choked it. Check out this fish, y'all. Finally got a good one. That is a 19-inch fish. "19 inches, all shoulders." We'll let her go. I'd like to use them for the box, but it's all good. We're gonna let her go. Fish like that might get real big one day. She's thick. There she goes.
Well, in summary, the small swim bait led me to put a few fish in the box and a bunch of short fish released, making for a very educational day to say the least, yet still plenty of action to call it fun. And the learning never stops. When I cleaned these 5 trout and 3 flounder in the cooler a couple hours later, I found probably the main reason I was getting a lot of short strikes from these fish. They were full of 2 to 3 inch shrimp. This explained a lot. First and foremost, it explains why these trout were in this area with very little bait fish around. It also explained, even though I downsized to a fairly small swim bait, it still didn't match the size of the food source they were eating this morning. I didn't mention in the video, but fairly early I went rummaging through all of my tackle, looking for very small plastics, of which I did not bring with me this day. This is the one technique I would have incorporated if I had been prepared: finesse, meaning 2 to 3 inch plastics. In this case, would have been fished right on the bottom where the shrimp and trout were. But like I said, the sport never stops providing opportunities to learn and apply previous lessons. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, we found a similar situation in which I was prepared and was able to create another video using small finesse lures and really filling the box full of nice trout. So please check out the finesse trout video for part 2 of today's lesson.